Happy and healthy altitudes to you. Hello, I'm Gary Giannetti, and I'm coming to you from Healthy Altitudes, Colorado.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Matt Moreno coming to you from sunny Apex, North Carolina in Your Peak Mine. Nice to see you again after a little bit of a hiatus. Today we thought we'd talk a little bit about the fact that we've gone a couple months here and we were hoping and praying that things were going to get better with respect to COVID, and we've tried to make our broadcasts more general to make it apply all the time. But we wanted to have a couple conversations today about what's actually going on with respect to the virus and how we're all handling it. You probably have heard, if you haven't, you probably if you haven't heard it, maybe this will help you, but you might have heard of the old serenity prayer, the one that says, God grant me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I'm not necessarily a pastoral counselor. I'm not typically a religious person, to be honest with everyone listening. But the wisdom in that statement is actually what we want to talk about today. And as I said, we all thought that things were going to get better by now. We all were hoping and praying that we'd be back to a version of normal that maybe we were at before we went into the lockdowns and stuff. And we all know at this point that hasn't really happened. And because of that, I know I can see it in my own household. Our anxieties have gone up. Have they gone up for you as well, Gary?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a different time, Everywhere I go, I was on a bike ride today, and it was like a tension convention when I stopped. Everybody was all like spread out. Nobody could talk to each other. So, yeah, people are a little more stressed out.
Yep, it's to me, it's to the point where we're seeing some things on TV that are reruns, and for me, I'm watching maybe a family get together in a house and seeing them hugging, and my first reaction isn't, oh, that's not nice, they're all hugging. It's, ooh, don't get together, don't be too close. So we're being trained in lots of ways to be a little bit more vigilant about some things, and part of that is causing a lot more anxiety out there than I think is really helping us. Some anxiety is good because it keeps us moving, it keeps us vigilant about certain things, but I think what's happening, at least psychologically, a lot of people are trying to control things that they can't control. For example, we're sitting here waiting in North Carolina to hear what's going to happen with our schools, and they haven't come up with a definitive plan yet. My own 18-year-old is supposed to be going to college in a few weeks. We're wondering if that's going to change. And because of all the anxiety-provoking news and behavior, our anxiety levels are going up, our heart rates are going up, our physical unhappiness is just growing and growing every single day. So we wanted to talk a little bit about that. And from a psychologist standpoint, my suggestion to the people listening to our wonderful broadcast here is that you really need to focus on those things that you can change. What is it you do have control over and can wrap your mind around and can wrap your hands around? And maybe it's where can you read a book? What book can you read? What show can you watch? Where can you go exercise? What can you do outside? Can you control your body? Can you control what's going in your body? That sort of thing. And we thought that would tie in really well with respect to what Gary talks about as well. So before I turn it over to him to sort of underscore this whole thing, let me also remind you that you can control your own level of mindfulness. If you want to consider all the anxiety and do nothing but watch TV and watch the news, all that stuff going in is going to do nothing but cause you anxiety. I know you want to be informed, but the reality of that is if that's a steady menu for you, you are going to be anxious the whole time because so much out there is just misleading, or you don't know what's really true and that sort of thing, and that just drives your anxiety up. So one of the things that you can do is choose what you're putting into your mind as well as what's into your body, and that's a really good way to turn it over, a good place to turn it over to Gary. What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's totally true, and I think these are all things we've talked about. It's not just for COVID, it's also for your life, and what you put into your mind for your life. How many people sit and just read Facebook and all the posts about masks, and then it just creates more and more anxiety about wearing a mask when you have to go to the supermarket. And it's not even a big deal to put a mask on when you walk in the supermarket. If it makes people feel more comfortable, that's great. It's simple enough. But it becomes such a controversy, and it creates more anxiety because of that controversy. People then don't want to talk about it because they think that talking about it creates more anxiety. So all these things are, COVID related, but they're also things that you can translate into your life. And what kind of what you focus on that you can control. You can't control this virus. You can't control what school is going to be like. The Board of Education is going to be controlling that. But we talked just before we started recording this, Dr. Matt and I were talking about, my wife and I are talking about maybe changing our school structure because our kids are young, just so that it keeps it simple. So we can try to gain a little bit of control in that it makes it consistent for our kids. And so that's the purpose of why we would try to control that. So you have to think about, is it something you're controlling just to control it, or is it for the better of those around you? That's something too that I think is important. And as a parent, we have to make those decisions all the time, right? Is it going to be better to say, hey, don't go to school because you'll have more fun. It's going to be easier. You'll have less exposure. So those are some things that you have to really think about each decision and why you're trying to make that decision and take control or not. And there's nothing wrong with being out of control as well and enjoying that. Sometimes, those surprises that your kids say, or those surprises that happen to you on your windy road throughout the day, those things that come at you and it's a turn you didn't expect, sometimes they're cool, they're exciting, and you have to embrace them and say, wow, that was kind of fun, actually. I learned from it. But my key takeaway on this one is, and I just read about this one, 10 minutes of natural stress relief. This was a cool study in Frontiers in Psychology. Sorry to steal your flavor here, Dr. Matt, but it is a cool article, real brief little read in one of my fitness journals from IDEA. And it says that 10 minutes of outdoor activity, they did this study at Cornell University between 15 and 30-year-olds. And they said just 10 minutes of outdoor activity will increase your mood, increase your focus, improve your blood pressure, and improve your heart rate. So there's 4 benefits to just getting outside for 10 minutes. Again, focusing on that control of what you can do for your health and your fitness is up to you. You can control your health and fitness. You can walk out the door and go find a safe place to hike away from other people, or for a walk in your neighborhood away from other people. You can set up that home gym and work out in your home gym. These are things you can do. And it doesn't always have to be an hour workout. It can be 10 minutes. And 10 minutes is a step in the right direction. So as a health promotion professional, we always want to take those steps forward. And those are steps in the right direction. So control the things that you can that take you in those steps forward. And those are the steps that are going in the right direction. So that's something that I would just mention, to try to control those things like your health, because those are things you can take control of most of the time. Something can still get thrown at you with that as well, but you still have to try to roll with that the best you can. And then even in those cases, control the positive components in your life when something bad comes at you. So those are my quick tips, Dr. Matt. And, trying to focus on these things for your life. That's the goal, not just for
I think
COVID.
it's a good idea. And if I could just do 2 more things with what you said. One of the things that you can control fairly, I'll say easily, but not always easily, because in today's day and age, there's some people that can't control what kind of food they eat. But if you're a person that's in a situation that you can control your intake, choose what you're eating, whether it be vegetables or M&Ms or something like that. You might have the ability to make those choices. And if you do, make the better choice. Not always, because sometimes having an M&M is nice too. But if you can choose what's going in your mouth, that's a great thing to do. And that's something that you can wrest some control from. The second thing I just want to throw out there for food for thought, so to speak, is the idea that you need to look for joy. Look for reasons to be happy. Even if you're a little bit out of control in some situations. Gary gave a great example of, what is your kid going to say that's going to surprise you? Or maybe on a nature walk, you uncover a mysteriously new frog or something along those lines. But make the world mysterious, and you'll be able to find some joy in that situation. So just
and with that said, I think that's important. The reason I'm taking my phone here is because when I was on a bike ride today, there was a church, and the sign, I love that you said that, said, and I'm not a big religious person, it said, joy is a byproduct of trusting God. I'm not a big religious person, but joy is a byproduct of what's in your head as well. trusting God is in your head. That's a choice you have to make. That point about joy is a very important thing to consider. However you find it, that is a very important point, Dr. Matt. And I think that's something,
Decision. That's
you know,
definitely a choice that you make, whether it's a choice to be angry, a choice to be sad, a choice to be out of control, a choice to find joy. Enjoy your day.
Yeah.
It's your choice.
That's right. And find ways to enjoy ways of being active, eating well, and staying happy for your life. And that's the other goal.
Excellent. Thank you for watching today.
Thanks, Dr. Matt.